everybody. Jerry Rig Podcast. Welcome. So glad you could join us here today. I know it's Tuesday morning for some of you guys. If you're on the East Coast, it's about noon. It's about lunchtime, right? Anyway, welcome back. If you've been with us before, you know we dive into the world of business analysis, marketing, technology. Today, we're going to talk more about Salesforce jobs. And I have someone that is very, very knowledgeable. They're actually a Salesforce recruiter, and they're with a company called Oscar Recruiting or Oscar Recruiter. Anyway, just remember Oscar Mayer hot dog, and then it'll stick in your head. Anyway, her name is Jamie Worth, and she's a little rock star. She hustles, and she lives, sleeps, and breathes Salesforce. So if you're looking for a role in the Salesforce ecosystem, she's going to be someone that you're going to want to connect with. Let's see what else. We're going to do a little Q&A. Go ahead on the chat. If you got a question, we want you to fire that into us so we can take your questions. Also, just start off, why don't you let us know where you're at? What part of the world are you living in? Chat that in. And then right after this, we'll be right back. Yeah. Yeah.
This is the Jerry Rigged Podcast, your no-nonsense knowledge base for business technology, marketing, and analytics. And now your host, Jerry Suhrstedt.
So when I started my journey into trying to find a new role, and if you're kind of in that world of flexibility like me, I have a company. I do freelance work, 1099 work, contract work, and I'm also kind of looking for that unicorn out there, that perfect role, right, where the company loves you and they hug you and embrace you, and you got a team to work with and you can work with them full time. Then, that way you keep your options open. And one of the people that I connected with, it's been probably 5-6 months now, was a young lady by the name of Jamie Worth, and I'm going to bring her in. What's going on, Jamie?
Hey, Jerry, what's up? What a cool introduction. That was awesome.
Well, a little practice.
Yeah. Thank you for all those kind words, too. I'm excited to be here.
Oh,
Thanks
it's so good.
Having me.
So good. So Jamie is with a company called Oscar. I'm going to pull them up here, and they're called Oscar. Here's their About Us page, but they also have a page over here. Oh, let's see if I can slide it over and move it around so I can play with it. On their menu, they got multiple companies: technology, energy, construction, digital, blah, blah, blah. And so which space do you work in, Jamie?
Well, I'm Oscar Technology, and I do Salesforce. My whole team does Salesforce.
Very cool website.
Very cool. Yeah. And I'm glad you're showing everyone this, because I was going to say, you're on here and you don't happen to be in the Salesforce ecosystem.
Right.
Still reach out. I probably most likely know someone who can help you. So this is good.
So their technology page is really cool. They do a lot of stuff in the Salesforce space. They got jobs here. So go ahead and jump on there and check that out. So let me just kind of explain to some of our folks today. So Jamie is a recruiter, right, with Oscar. Mm-hmm. And ultimately, the big picture goal is to match jobs and open roles with people who are the best fit for those roles. So I know there's a lot of pain and agony out there in the marketplace with regards to ATS systems and all that stuff. Here's the beauty of a recruiter is they hand your resume directly to the hiring manager. They just kind of here you go. So you're bypassing ATS and all that nonsense. How cool is that? The beauty is now Jamie's just not going to take anyone's resume and just shove them in front of one of her clients. Yeah. She's going to vet you a little bit, make sure you're a good fit. But if you're a good fit, everybody wins. Right. So, Jamie, talk to us a little bit about where are you from? Where did you grow up? And how long have you been doing?
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Great. I wasn't expecting to give a little background, but That sounds great. Yeah. So I'm in Philadelphia right now. That's where my office is too with Oscar. We're right in Center City. And I grew up outside of Philly, probably 45 to an hour in the suburbs. Moved here for college. And actually, I know this might be surprising to some, but I actually just graduated now a year ago. So from graduation, I just moved right into this role with Oscar, which I'm really, really lucky for. I think it was a perfect fit, honestly. So found my career with recruitment, which has been going great. So I got about a year of Salesforce recruitment, Salesforce recruitment knowledge to share with you guys. But, I have people on my team who have been with Salesforce recruitment for many, many, many years. So I have all of the knowledge, all the insight to give to you guys.
Well, that just means you're not jaded, right?
Yeah.
You haven't gotten to that point in your career.
Right.
You're still. Well, what I like so I've worked a lot with Jamie, and what I like about her, and this is something, especially these days, trying to find the right role is, it's a process and it takes time, and employers are crazy picky these days. And even the ones that are super picky are changing their minds and all kinds of nonsense. But you just got to roll with that and not get depressed. But by having somebody like Jamie on your team, the beautiful thing is you might not even talk to her for a month or two. Then all of a sudden, out of the blue, a role comes through and she thinks, oh, hey, Jerry, he's my guy for this role.
Right. Yeah. And I know we're going to get into this a little bit more into the call, but that's, I think, one of the best parts about just creating a relationship with a recruiter is it's more than just, them finding the right job. You build this connection and then it's like something pops up and you're the first person that comes into my mind because we've spoken all these different times and had you with other roles that weren't the best fit. So I see something in another role and I'm like, oh, great, Jerry, that's perfect. And I have that relationship with a lot of different candidates. But yeah, I know we're going to get into how to form that relationship and how to build those connections. But yeah, that's the best part about being a recruiter is knowing people and knowing what's right for them, vice versa. It's perfect.
One of the things that I talk about once in a while with some of my folks that are always asking, how do I get a job? How do I get a job? Yeah. Like, don't ask me because I haven't got one yet. No, I'm just kidding. Actually, I've gotten in the past 3-4 months, I've gotten, whoops, there you go. There's my
nice.
Mac. There's all kind of little.
Oh, you have that set up on your computer. I didn't know that was.
Yeah. Like if we do 2 fingers, you get balloons.
Oh, nice. They put that on the Mac. I had no clue.
It's on the Mac. Yeah. It took me like a month to figure it out. It kept happening randomly in job interviews.
I still can't. I tried on my phone and it's not working. I don't know what's going on with that.
It's a Mac thing. Yeah. I'm not sure if they have it on the phone yet, but
yeah.
Anyway, one of the things that I talk about is, hey, look, folks, let's just talk about the underlying motivations here. Everybody's trying to make some money, right? Because they got bills to pay and mouths to feed. Recruiters make money. Yeah. Commissions. Yeah. I don't know. My computer is acting goofy. Anyway, recruiters make money. Account executives make money. It's all based on kind of like nothing really happens. Nobody gets paid until they find a recruit. They go through the process of interviews and they get a job offer. They start the job. Then after that is kind of when everyone gets paid. So it's in a recruiter's best interest and incentive to keep their customers happy by not sending people that are not qualified.
Right.
But they're also incentivized to close the deal, get you hired, get you started and working. Right.
Yeah. Well, that reminds me what we talk about, as a company with Oscar all the time is that we can't cut corners, because if you find someone who seems like they're a good fit, they're telling you they're the best fit, putting all these things on their resume that seem like, they fit the mold and they look like the perfect candidate for a position. Start the position, a few days in, turns out they have no idea what they're talking about, or this company is just not aligned well. And there's all kinds of different things and whatever. That can be easily avoided with having an honest conversation from the start.
Yes.
Like an honest resume, an honest conversation, making sure that like everyone's on the same page. And that is how it works. You have to have someone stay with their position for a certain amount of time, depending on the company and whatnot. Yeah. And like, as much as that is for us to get paid and get that commission, it's also just, that person, if they're not in the right job, they're not going to stay, or they're not going to get the job and whatever. So of course, it's in our best interest to make sure that candidates find the absolute best match and companies find the absolute best candidate. So yeah.
I don't know if you can hear that, but I got some lawn guys with weed whackers right outside my office window.
That's okay.
It's just getting
sound effect in the background.
It's getting louder and louder as we go. Anyway, yeah, that's a great explanation. And, there's a difference between kind of, there's nothing wrong with kind of pushing your abilities and selling yourself and marketing yourself. But it doesn't do anyone any good if you just flat don't know the technology and then take an interview for it. Because you might be able to kind of, balloon your way through the initial conversation.
Right.
But invariably, the interviews are going to be 2 or 3, if not more. One of them is going to be a technical interview, and somebody's going to really kind of nail you down to make sure that you understand the process and you have some experience. So
yeah, you can hope. You can hope that one of those interviews are going to get the truth out. Yeah, because really it does save everyone a lot of time.
So Kyle Carson said, "Go, Jamie."
Hey, Kyle. That is our practice director.
Oh, is it? Oh,
yeah.
Nice. Okay, let's get into some, let's put some meat on the bone here. Oh, jeez, my computer is acting weird. My monitor just keeps blacking out. So
Oh, no. That's not the time for that.
So let's dive in and talk about roles that are in high demand. So if I am a candidate looking for a job, how do I ensure that my resume lands on the right recruiter's desk? Can you give us kind of an overview of the Salesforce job market?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, yeah. So those are 2 different points that I'd like to get to. For one, the Salesforce job market. I know everyone's like, whew, the year that I've been working with the Salesforce market, I know has not been necessarily kind to everyone. I know a whole bunch of people who have gone through layoffs. It's pretty much like the number one reason why people are, looking for more work. And yeah, it's just kind of, there's been good months, there's been bad months, and I speak to people every single day about it. So I get so much insight onto everyone's different experiences. And I think everyone kind of agrees with this one, that for Salesforce, the market has not been perfect in the last year. But I will say there's been a shift from right before the holidays to the start of the year, which just might be, things slow down for the holidays per usual. People are taking vacation and whatnot and going home to their families. Might be something like that. But I don't know. I think Salesforce is starting to pick back up. But my one little insight onto that is that I think, from what I can see, is that the Salesforce market has become so popular and so many people want to get into it that it's just become a little bit diluted. That's what we like to say all the time. So there's
saturated.
Saturated. There's a lot of good talent out there, and there's only so many roles to go around. There's only so much work to go around. So I think that's the main thing. But on that note, quickly wanted to mention that I know candidates who do best are ones who are open to both contracting and full-time, which you're one of those candidates. Jerry spoke a little bit on that in the beginning. If you're open-minded and you're maybe laid off from a role and you're thinking, well, let me jump into a contract position for the next few months while I find my next unicorn position, like you said. Yeah, I think that's the way to do it. I've seen an increase in contractors, an increase in those types of positions, definitely in the last few months. Cause I think specifically with Salesforce consulting firms, that's just the most realistic type of position for them.
Yes.
When work has been kind of iffy.
Well, I don't know. I'm a bit ADHD, so
Yeah, me too.
I just want to work. And when somebody says,
Right.
contract or W-2, I'm like, I just want to work. Yeah. Well,
Whichever you can
whatever
do.
you got,
Yeah.
throw it at me. W-2 roles that are full-time permanent, employers are way more picky because they commit to you for a long time. But a contract role, I can take a 3-month, 4-month, 5, 6-month contract.
Yeah.
And they're a little bit less picky, a little bit less issues with background checks and all this stuff. And if you have your own LLC and you can you can invoice them even on that side of things, that makes it even easier because they're not making this big, huge commitment to you with, medical benefits and all that stuff, right?
Oh yeah. I've seen like full-time interviews, permanent positions last for like 2-3 months sometimes, which we always try to condense, but that happens. And then there's the contract positions where I'll get a call at 9 a.m. saying, hey, we have this role. And then by 5 p.m. that day, it's filled with somebody who, is just like you, antsy to get into their next position. So it's like a win-win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I actually like it. I mean, I kind of like the security of having, something that I can count on. But, hey, I'm doing work. I'm doing work, side projects for smaller clients, and I'm doing some marketing work. Last month I built out a website for somebody.
Oh, yeah.
So my background is in graphic design as well. So I can like kind of cool stuff. So I'm kind of that in the middle. I'm pretty dang technical and I'm pretty dang creative, but I'm not a coder, and I'm not an award-winning designer, but I can design stuff that works from a marketing standpoint. So then get a little deeper into the Salesforce market right now. I know you were talking about, so the way I see it, 3 or 4 years ago, there wasn't very many admins floating around, and there was a ton of jobs. And so then all of a sudden everybody started joining Talent Stacker and Focus on Force and getting joined. And everybody's been hearing this mythological story about you got to get into Salesforce, blah, blah, blah. You can work from home. And now there's like 18 billion admins running around who have almost no experience, and the jobs shrank down. So now you got all these people that are on LinkedIn crying because they got their admin cert and they thought a job was just going to fall in their lap.
Yeah. I speak to a lot of those people, whether it's a quick 5-minute call or a message or whatever, who don't have much experience and are asking me like, what do I do to get into the Salesforce world? Because it's difficult. And I always say, unfortunately, as a recruiter, we can't necessarily help those people. That's just fact of the matter. So what I do is I try to give some of my own insight, not necessarily helping them too much with like my own tools and stuff, but giving them some insight on what they could do.
Some advice.
Yeah, just some advice. And I always say if you're a Salesforce admin and you're struggling to get a job, struggling to find someone who will take you with little experience, I think a good way to do that is to find an end user of Salesforce. And this might be a little bit complicated, but just hear me out. This is just from what I see. I think if you find an end user of Salesforce, and you find, that team that uses Salesforce, and just reach out to them directly on LinkedIn, connect with those people on a team, whether it could be in any industry, really, just like an end user. They typically will have admins with little experience because they're taking people from internally. You're taking people from their company and just saying, hey, can you take on these admin responsibilities? Can you learn Salesforce and do this? So if you get a job with an end user, maybe it's not even in Salesforce to begin with, and then you kind of wiggle your way into the team, then suddenly you can stay with that company forever long, have that on your resume, and now you're a much better fit down the line. Yeah.
One of the things, and that's a really good way to go. One of the things that I tell a lot of folks who just flat have almost zero experience. First of all, I remind them that section in LinkedIn on your LinkedIn profile, it's not a jobs section. It's an experience section.
Yeah,
so you can get experience from being an intern. You can get experience from volunteer work, but you don't have to put on there intern, volunteer.
That is a great tip. It's
It's experience. Who cares?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Totally.
I see people. I had this gal that I was helping out, and she had this 2-year gap on her LinkedIn profile. Mm-hmm. I asked her, I said on there, took a break for my family or something like that. So I asked her, I said, why do you have that on there? She goes, well, I just didn't want to have this, big 2-year gap. I said, yeah, well, what were you doing? Oh, I was just, me and my boyfriend were running a business. Okay. Talk to me.
Right.
Rental car business. I said, who was doing all the marketing? Oh, I was.
Right. There you go.
When leads came in, what were you doing with them? She goes, oh, well, I was using a CRM. I'm like, hello? Okay, you no longer took a family 2-year gap. You worked for this company. Don't say you owned it. Just put it in there. You work for this company and you were the CRM manager. Hello.
You're a recruiter. This is amazing. I have the same thing. It's also like, it's with that. It's just kind of like, talk yourself up. Don't talk yourself down. Don't say, oh, I can't. I don't think I can do that. Or, oh, I had this gap and whatever. No. Don't mention it like that. You can say it in all sorts of different ways. It's like a perfect example. And also, LinkedIn is much, much, much more important than some think. And if you have that 2-year gap, people are going to look at your profile, take a peek, pass it along.
Yes.
But if there's something in that 2-year gap that shows like, oh, yeah, I continued with some sort of experience, yada, yada, yada. Yeah. We're more likely to reach out to you, more likely to speak with you. So yeah, totally. It's a great example.
So another little tidbit that I give people is go out and start an LLC. In Arizona, you can start for $50. You come up with a cool name, you come up with a cool logo, you build out a little 1-page website, you set up a LinkedIn company page. And now, and this is actually required by IRS rules, if you own an LLC, you have to be an employee of your LLC and pay employment taxes. Mm-hmm. So now that you're an employee and you own the company, guess what? You can give yourself any title you want. First of all. Second of all, now you can go out and hustle up some clients because you have ABC Salesforce consultants. Yeah. And then now you can, you got a gap. You can just keep going all the time. Oh, yeah. 98% of the time, recruiters and hiring managers never ask, oh, hey, do you own that company?
Right. Mm-hmm.
That's something that they bring up.
No. Yeah.
It gives you lots of flexibility and you're generating experience. So who cares? Right.
Right. Oh, yeah. Exactly. I feel like that's like the best way to go. Like if you need something to do for however long, whatever, you don't see yourself jumping into another full-time permanent position. Yeah. No LLC, like just get right to that because it gives you endless opportunities. And the best thing is that you can make your title whatever you want. And
you own the company.
Yeah. Then suddenly you're like
you're the boss
by all kinds of different, all kinds of different roles and stuff. Yeah. It definitely gives you a leg up. It's cool.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Well, okay, we got a question here. We're going to answer this real quick. So Katie said, do you think that's possible even if you are new? And my response is, especially if you're new. You're not putting that experience on there and saying, I am the god of Salesforce.
Right.
You're putting that on there to show you have experience. Now, as you own your company, you can take on a client, a small client, your uncle, your brother, they happen to be using Salesforce. You can use that. You can go into Trailhead and just do Trailhead projects after projects. You can get on click.com and join a team for 6 weeks and have that on there as well. It's all experience.
Yeah. If you can actually do it, why not? Like if you actually have the ability to do it, of course. Right.
Yeah. I've applied for many a job where I was kind of like, I might be a little light on that. But, you get in there and, hey, I took an admin job years ago and I was feeling very, very, what's that term? Imposter syndrome. I'm feeling that, right? But once I got in there and you're working from home, I worked for them for a year. There literally was not one project they needed done that I couldn't do.
Okay. Yeah. So, right. So also believe in yourself.
Yeah. So you got to have a little bit of. Yep. Yeah. Exactly. Okay. Next question for Jamie. share a story of a candidate who has successfully connected with you and then landed their dream job.
I'm so excited about this one. This is the best question, because that's all a recruiter wants, really, is like that satisfaction, that feeling of you're matching someone with their perfect job. It's like, oh, it's the best, because everyone's in the situation, everyone's winning. So yeah, my best example, I'd say, because I just think it's also just kind of encouraging for some people who have been out of work for a bit. I worked with a candidate back in October, or at least that's when I started speaking with them. And she had been out of work since February. She was laid off from her position. Actually, I think the whole team was laid off. And she told me in our initial call that the reason she doesn't have a job yet is because she turned down offers. She interviewed, didn't think that the company was the best fit, didn't think that the position was the best fit, and she turned down all these offers. So yet again, like, I know you see that as a recruiter, you see that as a company, and you think, I don't know, what were they doing in all that time? But to know that like she's been continuing to work and turning down offers and everything, that's, makes sense to me. Anyway, so we spoke. I shared a role with her at the time. It wasn't the right fit. But she gave me a really good understanding of what she was looking for. And not only that, she gave me like some insight into her life. So, Jerry, you're also a great example for a candidate like this too. It's like, we're all real people. So just have a conversation with someone. I talk to people all the time who pick up the phone and say, who's the client? How much are they paying? It's like, okay, hold on. Let's talk. Let's figure out what you want. And, let me hear a little bit more about you. And it really goes a long way. So I had this conversation with her. She told me just what she wanted. She gave me some insight into her life and her family and whatever. You don't have to give me crazy details, but it sticks a little bit to hear some more about you. Wasn't the right fit for her. Moved on, reached back out to her in December with another opportunity. That was one of those moments where the job popped up and I go, right, that's her. That's perfect. Reached out to her, gave her a call. She's still going through some interviews, whatever. I go, you know what? I think it's the right one. Like, let's get you in there. Get her an interview. This interview process lasted, I think, like a month and a half, maybe even more.
Oh, good.
So we're going through, I mean, it's over the holidays. So I guess maybe, but like December to February finally comes around. She lands the job. She accepts the job. It's the perfect fit for both ends, everything. And yeah, it was like, what is that? October to February, like 4 or 5 months maybe of I'm not sure if I'm going to find her something. I don't know if this is going to work out, but if someone well, and you know what they're looking for well, it's perfect. And so that's what happened. And she's loving it. And yeah, definitely really happy about that one.
Well, part of the reason that it worked out is because you care.
Yeah, right. And that's different for everyone. I get that. Yeah. I think it's, yeah.
That's where we're making money. Okay. Right. And we all, I mean, this is a given to me anyway.
Yeah.
Recruiters do this for a living. This is how they pay their house mortgage, their buy groceries and all that stuff. But if money is at the very top of your motivation list and everything else is after that, I don't think you're going to be as near as successful because you're going to just build a trail of people that think, man, what a jerk. He doesn't care about me. Where people like you, I think it's more of a sustainable, long-term business model because by showing you care, you'll get people that come back to you and come back to you and come back to you year after year kind of thing.
Oh, yeah. I think that also goes a few different ways because of course, the money motivation coming from a recruiter, that's why we do the job. That's why we even have the job is, to bring in money. So of course, that's like something that candidates might be concerned about or whoever or whatever, but they shouldn't be concerned because if you have the correct mindset, like I don't mean to, toot my own horn, but like myself, like myself, like you're thinking like at the same level of like, all right, I want to make money. I want to be successful. And also, in order to be successful, I have to really care about or really understand these candidates and like really understand where they're coming from. I feel like they go hand in hand, honestly, because it's like you're not going to be successful unless you have a really good understanding and a good relationship with your candidates. You know,
I totally agree. I mean, I get the blow and go guys that are on the phone, they're rushing you, and it's just a numbers thing to them. And hey, if you end up getting the job that you really like, who cares, right?
Right.
But it's so much better to deal. I have about 5 recruiters nationwide, of which you are one of them, who we have a relationship with. We talk regardless of whether they got a job or they don't. We just check in. How you doing? What's going on? How's the weather in Philly? Blah, blah, blah.
Right.
And it's nice because all of a sudden one day Jamie calls and says, I have a role that I think you'd be a good fit for. It just came through. And actually 1 hour after our podcast here, I'll be meeting with interview number 2.
Interview number 2. Yeah. And that came from exactly what you just said. We just talk sometimes, check in. One day we talked and I was like, hey, actually, so weird. Coincidence. I have this role that came in. I think it was like an hour or so after we talked that day. I was like, oh my God, Jerry, I'm giving you a quick call back. Guess what? And that would have never been the case if we're not checking in like that.
Nope.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah.
Well, and here's another thing, a little tidbit I'll throw out there. Don't be afraid to bomb. I mean, you're going to do a ton of it. Try to do as many interviews as you can because you learn. I walked away from multiple interviews where I went, oh my gosh, I literally sucked. But I learned why I sucked and I did some tweaking. And so next time I interview, I won't do that again. So, you can't hang on some of these interviews like, oh my God, I'm going to die if they don't give me this job. You got to it's a numbers thing. Just keep doing interviews, keep doing, and something will pop.
You're gaining something from every single interview you have, whether it's like a interview question that won't stump you the next time you get it. Like anything like that. I don't know. It's always going to be important, always going to be helpful. So yeah, I completely agree.
Well, and being a good salesperson always helps. Being a good
having that trick up your sleeve, of course.
Being able to talk. I've gotten in trouble because sometimes I'm a little too big picture. I'm talking about the strategy, and they're just looking at me like, dude, we just want you to put your head down, your fingers on the keyboard, and just do technical stuff. That's all we want. Just shut up, sit in the corner, and do what we need you to do.
Yeah. I mean, I also feel like that though sometimes is the fault of like the interviewer, because it's like you got to direct what you're looking for from the start, so people know where to go.
Exactly.
Here,
let's talk about emerging trends in Salesforce careers. So is there any specific roles or skills that are that you're seeing coming across your desk that you're like, man, I need more of these?
Oh, yeah. There's always that. There always will be that. I think right now it's a handful of things, but I'm also going to get more specific in just a moment. Yeah. But for one, I think recently we've seen a lot of CPQ.
CPQ.
We always see a lot of marketing cloud. Right now, Pardot for you. Pardot's also a huge one. That's a rare skill. Health cloud. I'd say recently I've seen some Certinia, also known as Financial Force to some. And really what it is that I could list a whole bunch, really. I mean, maybe those are top ones, but really what is it? It's just skills or clouds or whatever it is that are a little bit rare, not frequently seen, not just sales and service, which is what I was going to say. I think that for anyone who is looking to progress in their Salesforce career, you should get at least one more cloud, at least one more skill set under your belt. Because you're not going to go super far with just sales and service, core Salesforce. Although, of course, that's necessary. You're not.
I don't think you're going to go anywhere, to be honest.
Yeah. So
let's put it on the table. Put the facts on the table. 2 years ago, if you had just an admin cert and minimal experience, you could probably pick up a job. Those days,
but not anymore. That's completely not. Yeah, that's not possible anymore.
Although there's a lower tier market now.
Oh, yeah.
There are customers who went out and bought Salesforce and went, ooh, that was kind of expensive. And they got 15 or 20 users
Yeah.
And they know nothing about Salesforce. Now you could bypass recruiters and all that, jump on Indeed, and they're running an ad on Indeed because they need and here's the other trick too. A lot of these folks, they don't even know what Trailhead is. They don't even know that Salesforce has a certification program. They just know we have Salesforce. We know nothing about it. We need somebody who does know something about it.
Right.
And
they
boom.
just don't know. Yeah.
And then they run an ad that has like some goofy title for the job title, like, CRM professional or CRM guru or something like that. And then you dive into, you're like, oh, they need a Salesforce admin. So you can apply for that job and you might be the only guy applying for it.
Oh, yeah. I uncover those all the time. Like, wait a second, is this Salesforce? And then I look up.
Right. Because they don't know.
Yeah. But anyways, I'd say my best advice is to hone down on a certain skill, because also you don't want to have, I feel like some people have the misconception of like, let me get as many different skills as I can. And is not the answer.
No.
You want to be very specific so that you can gain experience and gain knowledge and just be good at that one skill. Maybe you can build on top of that a little bit, but when you're going for all of that, it's not going to work.
Well, plus if you're trying to take certifications in a field or an area where you really don't know anything about it, then you're kind of sort of wasting your time a little bit.
You're right.
You got the admin cert is your base foundation. Get that one, maybe get the associate cert just for giggles. So now you got 2 certs. Now, for instance, what I've noticed is, okay, so you got these kind of niche-y jobs like Salesforce, account engagement, Pardot, or Salesforce Marketing Cloud. Here's the beauty of that. While you may not see tons of those open roles, there's very few people who know anything about marketing automation.
Right.
So when you get in there, you might be the only person interviewing.
Right. Yeah. And also with that, you're much more likely to be reached out to by a recruiter.
Yes.
Because if a recruiter is looking for something very specific, and you have that highlighted, you have to have that highlighted and the keywords and everything, you have that highlighted in your profile, you're going to get those messages. You're going to find those jobs that aren't as frequent as the more common types of roles. You're going to find them because people are looking for you.
Yes. Well, second on my list, if you got the admin cert, going out there and trying to find a job strictly as an admin, that's tough. But if you have an admin cert and you're also a business analyst, there's quite a few roles out there for Salesforce business analysts or business analysts only. Lots of jobs, lots of fair amount of demand for that. But Marketing Cloud, that's like, if you rock at Marketing Cloud and you know what you're doing, marketing automation, you understand, email campaigns and all that stuff. I venture to guess with a Marketing Cloud one cert and a couple of years experience, you could have a job by next week.
Oh yeah. You can just have a few years under your belt and you got it.
Yes.
And that's like the cool thing about having a specific skill is that you don't need to spend 10 plus years in the Salesforce ecosystem. I feel like that can be a little relieving to some people who are stressed about having a certain amount of experience. Like, no, as long as you just like really focus on what the skill is that you're going for and, stay true to that, you're good.
Yes. Well, I've been going down that business analyst road now for about a year because of my background in business, and it comes natural for me. Yeah. But I also have 20 years experience in marketing. And so marketing and marketing automation is very natural for me. And I think I'm going to continue to beef up my Pardot skills and my Salesforce Marketing Cloud skills.
Yeah, I think that's great. Yeah, I mean, of course, you having that background in marketing, automation, and marketing in general is key because you just have a better understanding in general of what's going on. And then you can just build on top of that. I mean, regardless, I don't want to take away from people who don't have that, extensive experience just in general marketing, but like it definitely helps for you. And it's a good kind of transition to be like, hey,
yes. Well, when you look at the wave of the future, although AI is probably going to replace a lot of the marketing and a lot of the creative writing. I mean, photos, imagery, communications. Yeah. Humans might become way of the dodo bird.
Yeah.
We don't need humans anymore. Just go away. We're not paying nobody.
I'm genuinely scared. Some of these AI tools I've been seeing, I don't know, ChatGPT.
Well, they're really cool, but then you're like,
cool.
God dang, man. You don't need me. You got.
I'm not sure. I don't know. If it starts here, it's like, where are we going with this?
Well, not to be even more depressing, but I saw this economist / technology guru, and he says, hey, folks, let's just be real. Companies don't like employees. They don't want to pay humans to do anything. That's a fundamental core issue with companies. And that's why they're always laying off and firing and hiring and then laying off and trying to keep their head counts. And he says, it's just a big pain in the neck. And so, but I kind of thought, well, just be real nice if billions of dollars fell out of the sky in a golden bucket and he could just keep it all and not have to spend anything. I mean, come on.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that's why it's a kind of a give and take when you are making a decision to go with a big company or maybe a smaller company, because that's kind of the difference. Smaller companies do really care for, value their employees. And I'm not saying that bigger companies don't, because it depends. But you're more at risk joining a really huge company because you're not noticed as much. I don't know what word to use there, but like it's a bit more of a risk, I guess you could say, with the way.
Especially if you're remote, out of sight, out of mind. There's a lot to be said for that.
Oh yeah. Which actually, really quick tidbit on that is, it's surprising to me how many people are really, really focused, like hardcore. I need to be remote, like that's remote or nothing. Because I mean, I know I'm a recent graduate, so obviously maybe I'm just like too early on, but I feel like if I wasn't seeing people every day or at least once a week, I feel like I'd be going insane.
I don't disagree with you. I like remote, but if I was offered a role right here in the Phoenix area and it was hybrid and I was in there 2 days a week, that doesn't bother me.
Why not? Yeah.
I like going and hanging out with people and having coffee. And, there's something, and remote people will argue this. Yeah. And I'm a big believer in remote. I love remote, but you cannot replace getting everybody in the same room. No,
never.
You just can't.
And that is, I know there's pros and cons. I also understand why being remote is good. We occasionally have remote days ourselves. Today I'm remote. And that's the thing. I think at times it's like, I needed that extra time from not commuting to the office today to do my laundry or whatever. Yep. It's like, I get why they're good, but I think it's sad for some to not be able to see people face to face or just like talk face to face in real life. It's just such a weird, strange concept to me.
So Ambreen is asking us, what is the best key to interview call? I guess I'm not understanding.
What is the best key? Maybe what's the best tip for an interview? Maybe.
Hey, Ambreen, won't you reword that and clarify a little bit, and then we'll circle back. Let's see here. I'm an almost former teacher. So Katie's a teacher, and then she's not going to be a teacher? Is that what you're saying?
I think we missed whatever we were talking about. It must have popped up at, I don't know what we were talking about at the time.
Interesting. Yeah, she's making some transition. Anyway, Katie, you can throw something in there real quick and kind of.
Yeah.
Like a little more. Oh my gosh, we got Matish. He says, I'm an international student from India, currently pursuing my master's degree at Northeastern in Boston. 4 years of experience in the Salesforce development back in India. I am keen on understanding how my background aligns with the hiring criteria. I have a couple of questions. When hiring, do you consider international experience, or is the focus primarily on experience gained within the U.S.? And could you outline the interview process, specifically how? My knee jerk is on the first question is like, experience. I don't care if you did it in France or Africa or the Antarctica. I don't think it makes any difference. Just, you don't have to like push it out there and go, hi, I'm Mitesh from India. How about I'm Mitesh and I'm a Salesforce developer. End of discussion.
Right. I think it depends again on the company. And I think it's probably not the best idea if you're going for a role in the US to be really specific on where your experience was, because it just doesn't matter. So just say, like, I have experience, it doesn't need to be specified in a certain location.
Then what about, well, he's just asking to outline the interview process. What are you saying? 2 interviews, 3 interviews, 5? I guess it depends on the company.
Yeah, it depends. Depends on the level of position. It depends on the type of position. Depends on if it's like remote or hybrid. It's crazy. It all depends. But I think most typically I see, I don't even want to say the average because it's just so over the place. Maybe for a full-time permanent position that's remote, which is the most common I think we see, is probably 3 to 4 interviews. Okay. 3 to 4.
Year, I had 1 interview and they hired me the next day.
Yeah. Like, you were that great. And that's the thing. If you're able to share your skills really well in one interview, I don't know, everybody's different standards, but I think it's important for them to have like a specific culture interview and a specific technical interview, yada, yada, things in between, meet with different people. And that's kind of why. But yeah, I said this earlier, as recruiters, we do try our best to condense interview processes for all sorts of different reasons. One of them being sometimes people won't ever make up their mind if there's 6, 7 interviews.
Oh, the hiring manager went to Europe for 2 weeks.
Wait, they won't ever make up their mind. You know what? I think as a hiring manager, let's just do 1 more interview. It's like, okay, you've seen all you could probably see at this point with 6 interviews. Let's cut it off. I mean, that's also excessive.
Yes.
But yeah, so we try our best to like condense them.
Now, personally, my personal opinion is a lot of these companies and hiring managers are just ridiculous. It's like, you don't need 4 interviews to figure out whether I know what I'm doing or not, and if I'm going to be a good fit with your team. And guys, you're not going to know if I'm going to be a good fit with your team until I get in with your team for about 6 months, and then you kind of make a
you're not going to figure it out on our 30-minute Zoom call. It's not going to happen. Yeah. And I don't know, because genuinely everyone is so different. Like it's so it varies so much that I can't even give you like an honest answer on that. Although I do think people more and more nowadays are starting to realize how ridiculous like a long interview process is.
Personally, 2. That's it.
Yeah, right. I agree.
2 for fit, and then some guy to kind of test you out, make sure you know what you're talking about, and they either want to hire me or not. Let's move on.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think my one other piece of advice is for candidates who are going through interview processes. Like if you're going through an interview process, it turns out to be too long. I think you have like one of 2 options. You just say, hey, no longer interested. Please take me out. Or you just stay with it and stick to it. Speak with your recruiter, obviously, give some insight onto that. Yeah. But I've definitely had some candidates who make the mistake of, saying straight to the company that they're interviewing with, like, can we condense the process? Something like that, which is not going to sit well with the company. Sometimes you have to save things for your recruiters and not be too honest to the company. Yeah.
Hey, I've owned multiple companies over the years. I used to own a home building company back in Tacoma, Washington. And we had about 40 employees, my role was primarily vice president, and I ran all the marketing and sales. Mm-hmm. And the front desk person rings my desk, says, "Hey, there's a guy down here says that he's a sales guy, and you're going to want to hire him." I'm like, okay, I got to go there. I said, "Well, we're not hiring salespeople," but I'm like, man, he kind of hooked me. So I went down. He's standing in the lobby with his resume, and he says, aren't your sales jobs 100% commission? I said, yeah. So give me a desk, give me a phone, give me some leads, What have you got to lose?
Wow.
He worked for me for 10 years. 10 years.
That is a salesman.
I hired that guy on the spot. I said, dude, you're hired. Let's do it. Let's see what happens. If it doesn't work out.
Right. Well, that's honestly a piece of advice for everyone as well. It's like, be confident in yourself. There's not even an existing role. Just go to the company and say, hey.
He had me thinking, like, it is 100% commission. I have literally nothing to lose. And that guy could sell ice to an Eskimo.
Right.
Oh my.
Why not?
Guy could sell like no tomorrow.
Yeah. And that's the way to be. I mean, that's a good salesman for you. But it's a tip for everyone. Just be confident in yourself and your ability.
Well, he was applying for a sales role, so his opening line had to be a good hook, right?
Yeah. Right.
Talk about Salesforce certifications. Now, what I have seen over the past 6 months with 60 interviews, believe it or not, I'd say it comes up maybe 30% of the time, whether you're certified or not. Nobody was ever asking me.
Yeah. All right. Let me speak on this. I think it's important to an extent. I have spoken with candidates who have like 13 certifications and like can't get a job, and then candidates who have none and like get the first job that they
have experience.
So it's like, I don't know how much it really matters, but what I will say is that it gets me that first interview. It can, if you have like a ton of certifications, and you're like, maybe you're interviewing for a higher level up position and you have a resume that has, I'm this many times certified. The hiring manager might see that and say, hey, like this person must really know what they're doing. And then you just get the interview. It might not get you the job, but it might get you an interview.
So I implemented my first Salesforce org in 2004.
Okay.
Like how old I am. Anyway, 2004. And back when they didn't even have Salesforce Trailhead, and I just fumbled my way through it and implemented the org, and it worked great. And, we did cool things. I didn't get my admin cert until, I don't know, a year ago. And I just never had the need. In the back of my head, I kept thinking, I need to get this admin cert. And even with my years of experience in and out of the ecosystem, that was a hard certification. Right. That is not easy.
Right. Well, I think my perspective on that is like more recently in the market, it's become a little bit more important to have at least some certifications because of how saturated the market.
Yes.
So it shows that you have some kind of commitment to it.
Somebody with 5 years experience and no certifications wins out the person with 15 certifications and no experience.
Right. Oh yeah. Certifications are not everything. Don't get me wrong. You're right. That's a really good point to make. It doesn't matter if you will with certifications. You need the experience. That's like key.
But you know how scattered it looks? I see people on LinkedIn and I look at their profile and it's like 27 certifications. I'm like, what are you doing?
Right.
Are you just a professional student?
Right. I mean, in some sense that they're relevant, but also I feel like I've spoken to many hiring managers who say, hey, it'd be cool if they had this certification. It's not a requirement, but that's the most common that I get all the time.
Well, there's a role and they're looking for somebody to do some admin work, and they also have Salesforce Marketing Cloud. And then you have an admin cert and a Salesforce Marketing Cloud cert and a couple of years experience in Marketing Cloud. I mean, you're kind of a perfect fit.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely. Except that on that same note, if you have the Marketing Cloud certification and you have no experience to it, they're going to interview you and then say, hey, that's not good. Yeah,
you won't pass the common sense. Because one of the questions I think out of all 60 interviews I had that I always got was, hey, so tell me about a time when.
Right.
Tell me about a project you worked on. Describe it.
Yeah.
And so I have what we call a story toolkit that I use for my interviews. And I have about 8 case studies of projects and things that I've done. And I've read those and told those stories so many times, I can usually just pull them off the top of my head. So
man.
Tell me about a time when you had to do a, part of that implementation.
Oh, yeah.
So.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's another example of like in interviews, don't say, I mean, if you've really never had that experience, don't make up a story, but say, nothing's coming to mind right away. Don't just say, oh, I don't know. I can't think of anything. Start giving experience for, I don't know, who knows what. Just, talk yourself up. Don't talk yourself down. I think.
Yes.
Most important.
So Katie, so I guess she is leaving teaching, and she said this is her last year, and we're talking about your background.
Oh, like your marketing experience.
Yeah. I think as a teacher, you have some really cool background stuff you can interweave in, with teaching and training. One of the questions that I always get asked is, have you ever taught end users how to use the Salesforce platform? And you used to be a teacher. So there you go.
That is such a good point. That is a really frequent question. Have you ever mentored any younger, whatever?
Yeah. She said she's not 100% sure when or sure where I should niche to to be needed. Okay. Yeah. So going into interviews with recruiters or anyone and just having this attitude, I just want to be needed. I just need a job. I just want to work anywhere. That's X-nay. Don't ever bring it up. You have specific skills for a specific role, and you're talking about your experience, period. I don't need a job. None of that stuff should ever leave your life. It
can never be, I can do anything you want. No.
No. Well, I got a hole in the back of my backyard I need dug. Can you come over and do that? That's why I don't like.
That's going to happen.
I don't like the green rings.
Yeah.
To me, it just smells desperation.
Right.
Open for role. I'm unemployed. I need to be needed.
Which we're not saying that about you, Katie. Just to be clear, because we completely understand. I mean, I feel like we all have that kind of understand. Like, I just need to be needed somewhere. It's like, okay, so your best bet is to find your best interest maybe and just focus on that.
Jobs these days have really niched down. It's kind of like if you're an electrician, you got your little tool bag on your hip and you got about 10 or 12 tools in there. And every tool has a specific purpose. And a lot of jobs these days are very specific. You're a specific tool they need for this particular role, especially in larger organizations where you might have 20 people in the Salesforce department, and you're just one little piece of experience they need. And if you start talking about generalities, I just need to be needed, or I just need a job, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, that's a huge turnoff. Huge.
Yeah, it's not good. That is not good.
Yeah, it's not good. But anyway, right. So Katie, if you want, you can ping me on LinkedIn and I'll answer more questions. We only got a few more minutes here. See how fast a hour goes.
Yeah, right.
So Amberine says she's got 2 Salesforce certifications, multiple projects in her portfolio, experience cloud and BSc in computer science. Oh, wow, cool. I'm not getting interview calls. Yeah. There could be lots of reasons. It could be your profile, could be your resume. I've seen many people with lots of experience and their LinkedIn profile is just horrid. It's just bad. There's nothing going. There's no keyword. Their headshots look like it was shot, with a lower camera. I mean, it's just.
Yeah, has to be clear, has to be easily understood, and you have to give yourself some highlight words so that you stand out to,
It's all about keywords.
Yeah.
I literally get, I'm not even kidding you, I'm not exaggerating, 3 to 5 calls and or emails every single day. Every single day.
Right.
To the point of annoyance.
Your profile is great. That's why. Yeah, LinkedIn is super important. It's everything for a recruiter or for maybe a company.
I would say that if your LinkedIn profile is firing on all 8 cylinders and your target role is in a viable market, you will probably never have to submit a resume ever again.
Oh, yeah. Especially if you're working, have that close bond relationship with recruiters, everyone you speak with.
Yes.
They got you covered.
Well, we have ran out of time because this is a 1-hour show. So let's wrap things up with Jamie Worth from Oscar. So thank you, Jamie. Anything you want to add to all of our listeners out there?
Well, I think this has been great, Jerry. I can't thank you enough for having me on here.
You're welcome.
I just want to really add that please, anyone who's listening, reach out to me. I will have a conversation with anyone. I will help you make your LinkedIn profile better, your resume better, anything like that. And also, again, Oscar has all kinds of different verticals that I can ship you off to the right person. So please reach out. Thank you, Jerry. It's been great. And yeah, pretty much it.
That's cool. Thank you, Jamie. We really appreciate you bringing all of your many years of wise experience.
I'm sharing the years of all the candidates I've spoken with.
Well, I tell you, in your role, you could probably spend 3 months there and know more than pretty much 90% of the people out there.
Crazy.
Recruiting is not an easy business. You got to have thick skin. And you got to have a caring attitude. And that's what I've always liked about Jamie and Oscar is, it's a lot less about the commission and more about you and what you need. Because if they find good fits for their clients, the money will come.
You're right. Yeah.
And, and they have a little more of a long-term mindset, which really helps for
just everywhere.
For a salesperson filling that pipeline and keeping it filled. Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's cool. Thanks, Jamie.
Thank you, Jerry.
Hang out with us.
And good luck with your interview after this.
Yeah. We'll see what happens. Well, thanks, everybody, for hanging out with us at the Jerry Rig Podcast, where we talk about marketing and now business analysis and technology. And they're right in the middle of my close. I think a recruiter is calling me, so I'm pretending to take their call. Timing. Take care, everybody.
The Jerry Rigged Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on Apple, Spotify, or Google. Business technology for CEOs, managers, and business owners. We're here to deliver insights and strategies without the fluff. This is the Jerry Rigged Podcast.